Hello, otaku friends, welcome to our channel. Let us continue the story. Red-haired girl jumps inside the room, thinking, to stay in a place like this, when the village is in this state. They must be outsiders. And on top of that, this is the most expensive room, they must be really rich. She looks around for anything valuable she can steal. She notices our boss's rugged cape, thinking, these people were supposed to be rich, why do they have something like this? She takes the cape to use it to wrap stuff up. She looks around, but cannot find anything worth taking. After a while, as she was checking a drawer, when she opened it, she found something with a surprised look on her face. Sometime after that, we see Pedrick coming back and tells boss that he stopped by the Lord's castle. He wanted to at least catch a glimpse of the new Lord, but the security was tighter than he expected. It was fruitless. He asks boss if he found out anything, but how can he expect something like that from a lazy boss? Still, boss tells him Haston has been cut off from outside. Other than that, the owner did not know much either. Pedrick is shocked by the fact that the boss actually did something. Pedrick starts teasing him saying, let us dig a bit deeper into that tomorrow. As he notices the open windows, he tells boss, it would be best if you kept the windows closed. I only left one open before leaving, but now, both are open. A burglar could come in at this rate. Boss tells him, what are you talking about? I have not even touched the windows. After that, boss notices that his outerwear is missing, which was made by Renee for him. Pedrick had kept something in the drawers, which was gone too. When asked what was missing, with a dreaded look he said, it was my rib bone. After that, we see that thief running in an alley, hoping she must have come far away to be safe. Someone confronts her saying, Rosalina, where are you headed, in the middle of the night? I thought, I told you not to wander around so late at night. She replies, I was not wandering around for no reason, it was for everyone. Man interrupts her by saying, wasting energy, moving about, and starving is that, for everyone, you are talking about. Someone else comes in saying, do not pressure her so much. It's their captain, he says, a thief should not be afraid of the night. That is not something to scold her about. But, wandering around without telling anyone is something she did wrong. The outside is already so dangerous, before you act on your own, you should think about how you could cause problems for others. This place is different from your old warm and comforting house. He asked her what she was doing. She shows them the loot she found, telling them she brought it from the most expensive room. It was placed deep in the drawer, and it was so clean. With disappointment, Captain tells her this is a rib bone of a human. She is shocked to hear about that. Captain holds the bone and says it must be someone's hobby, or a bone used for magic. There are perverted bastards who kill their slaves and use their body parts as decoration. He thinks to himself, this would be even more dangerous if this is stolen from someone who practices necromancy or dark magic. Even this outwear looks like it is from a beggar, but it is made from the finest materials. When he checks the pockets, they find a lot of gold coins. They all get excited with the loot they got. A voice comes from behind, it was really hard to find you guys. We came to the right place this time. Captain realizes that these are the people who were staying in an expensive room in a collapsing village. I should have figured things out faster. We messed with people we should not have. We see the boss and Pedrick telling them, we came to reclaim our stuff. Pedrick says, those clothes were a present from Renee. If I were to leave another hole in Renee's heart, I have no idea what would happen. The leader is surprised to be located so quickly. Boss wants to finish this quickly and go back to sleep. Pedrick can let it go for him being so lazy, just for today, since he has been running around for so long. Pedrick tells the leader, you chose the wrong items to steal, do you still have no thoughts of returning it nicely? But the leader knows there is no guarantee that these guys would just leave if I were to return the item. And he thinks that even if Rosalina had left traces, they found us too quickly in the dark. It is only possible if they traced us using dark magic. They must be dark magicians. He asks if that rib bone is really important to them, Pedrick tells him, "That's a given. It is a part of my body. Stop stalling for time and return it." The leader throws the bones into the air and tells everyone to retreat in the meantime. Pedrick jumps quickly to catch his falling bones. Suddenly, someone attacks him from the dark, smashing a big rock onto his head, only to realize it did not affect him. We see someone trying to stab Boss from the back, but as soon as it reaches him, the sword gets broken. He grabs that man from the neck and asks, "Pedrick, what should we do about them?" He suggests, "How about we knock them all out first?" Boss asks, "You really want to let them all live?" He replies, "I am not saying we should let them live, but to treat all of them the same." But Boss is too tired to control his strength properly. Pedrick stomps one into the ground saying, "At least you should try to do so." Inside the Primordial Core, we see Lymph and Renee chatting over some tea. Boss has been away for almost half a day. Renee is worried about him and says if it is fine for just the two of them to enjoy a relaxing break like this. Lymph tells her to stop overthinking it. There is no reason for a great person like him to skip meals. Renee agrees with her and says, "Mr. Devourer and Pedrick are just at a nearby human village. How could they run into any trouble?" Back to the human village. Boss and Pedrick got their items back. Looking at the fallen leader, Pedrick says, "I was hoping that they would have a map since they are thieves, but I guess we are unlucky." As he turns around, Boss is already lying on the ground, telling him, "You should lie down too, it is cozier than you think." We see Rosalina walking up from behind. She kneels and starts crying, saying, "I was the one who stole, others don't have anything to do with it, so please take me instead of others." One of the thieves tells her to get up, as he already knows they have no intention of letting us go. Boss tells Pedrick to take care of it. As he starts walking towards them, the thief pulls out a blade saying, "I will kill you if you get any closer." We see Rosalina bring out an item, which starts releasing mana after use. After noticing that, Pedrick quickly gets close to her and asks, "Where did you get this item?" And thinks, "A rosario, in the shape of a phoenix, that resembles a reversed cross, and the mana that leaks out from it is mana for surveillance, to have an item like this on a resident of the slums." He turns back and tells the boss that the people of this village are being spied upon by someone. Once that girl prayed with the rosario, surveillance mana started leaking out. That means rosario will activate under special conditions. If we can find out those conditions, we will be able to figure out what the person who gave her that item is up to. Boss says, "It's not like Haston is a city known for magic. First the magic stone, and now an item with magic in it." Pedrick tells him, "I will try to get the humans to cooperate with us, so follow my lead." He asks Pedrick, "What are you planning to do now?" He tells him as he taps on his helmet that he has something amazing thought up in his head. We see Pedrick apologizing to the humans and saying, "We received a royal decree not to leave any traces of those we had conflicts with behind. To be honest, we are from a secret organization that takes direct orders from Empire's royalty, the Fog of Roano, Shadow Knights. We have no intention of causing you any harm at this moment." Humans ask the reason for what they are doing in Haston. Pedrick tells them they are here to save Haston. "The reason why I am going against the royal decree is because I need information from you. I need to figure out the situation and analyze it so that we can send the necessary supplies and manpower here. Let's work together to recover peace in Haston. I need your help with that." Humans start discussing among themselves and decide they should help him because they don't want to live this kind of life. Pedrick turns around and tells Boss that he believes the persuasion is done. These humans were easy to deal with. These lower class are really great at accepting what is given to them. We are just getting started. I am starting to see more and more weird points here. Boss thinks, "I appreciate you trying so hard, but it feels as if things have gotten more problematic and annoying because of you." Pedrick tells him to get up and stop lying on the road, since the situation has come to this point, you will have to start working too. I will keep an eye out on the captain, who is most suspicious here, so you should stay with the people and try to get close to them. Boss is shocked after hearing him to get close to the humans. Pedrick tells him that we have no choice between a knight in full armor and the beggar-like boss. Who do you think will have an easier time getting closer to the people? So make sure to get close to them before I get back. Try mingling with them by following what they do. Boss thinks to act more like a human. First, they must spend most of the day asleep. Most of the ones who are awake are in a daze. Even when working, they probably don't make full effort. I can't see them having any motivation. I just have to act as I have always done. After hearing that, Pedrick glares at him and says, the religion that passed out the Rosarios need to be investigated. Please don't forget. In other words, I am asking you to suck out all the information from these humans. The faster we finish, the faster we go home and rest. And please, keep your composure, even if the humans are a bit rude. Everyone starts asking too many questions to him, making him feel suffocated. If he had a choice, he would have devoured them all by now. One of the kids comes to the boss and asks him if he has ever seen Sir Vern and Sir Wu in Historia in person. He does not even know who they are, but those names do sound familiar to him. We see Rosalina coming to the boss and starts apologizing for stealing his belongings. Boss does not mind it, as he already reclaimed them back. One of the thieves from earlier comes in front and says, I am called Toph. I will be taking charge in the captain's absence. He told me to fulfill your request as much as possible. You said you had come here to rescue Haston. If you want to know the situation the village is currently in, it will be quicker to see it with your own eyes than to hear about it. Boss is confused about why this guy suddenly started cooperating, but it will be much better to go with him than to be bombarded with questions here. So he agrees to go with him. They go to the residential area first, but there is no one to be seen. Outside a house, Toph tells him, you will understand when I open this door. When he opens the door, we see two bodies inside who are starved to death. Toph tells him that in this place, you can't even steal food from your neighbors because there is nothing to steal anywhere. Even the ones alive don't know when they will starve to death. After hearing that, boss thinks there is something I have been curious about from the start. Usually, when a village faces famine, the anger would be directed at the lord of the territory, and the angered citizens would rise to pick up their pitchforks and torches in revolt. The Black Disaster was also close to the level of famine. But why are people here starving to death without putting up a fight? Toph says it has been over a month since the Black Disaster hit Haston. Why the village is so quiet, or why the people are not rising in revolt? Are you not curious, Sir Knight? We see Renee and Lymph still enjoying their tea time. Lymph says, I really wanted to go to Haston with Mr. Devourer. It is so boring staying in the dungeon. Renee tells her not to think that way. Boss left the dungeon in our care. Could there be anything more important than this? This is us having the full trust of our boss, thinking, of course he trusts me, not Lymph. With a cheerful smile, Lymph says, that's right, I should have figured. Renee tells her, you need to stay focused at all times too, since we never know when humans will invade. Lymph tells her, don't worry, I am checking whenever I get the chance. I already checked 10 minutes ago, but since we are talking about it, I will check again. She has used a mid-rank magic called Observer's Eye to keep a lookout. As Renee is about to go for the cleaning, suddenly, Lymph notices something and says, speak of the devil, someone has invaded. Since this magic did not reach much, the likelihood of the invader being a single person is high. Renee stands up saying, be ready for it, it's coming. A massive aura starts enveloping the place as someone walks in saying, why are you all so jumpy? Renee and Lymph are surprised. It was Elizabeth who came to check on Renee. We hear Renee saying, sorry there isn't much, if you had let us know ahead of time, I would have prepared something. Elizabeth says, don't worry. No need to be bothered. I came here unannounced, after all. She winks and says, if you really want to prepare something, you can give me your blood. After that she asks, who is this person? Someone new, pointing at Lymph. She starts boasting as she says, if you are asking, I am the one who rules over the monsters, the Demon King. Asmodeus' 17th descendant, Lymphagria. Renee tells Lymph, I forgot to introduce her to you, this person is the boss of Chite Castle, Lady Elizabeth Bathory. With a nervous look on her face, Lymph asks Renee, will I be able to see all the dungeon bosses if I live here permanently? Renee pinches her face and says, you sure say some funny things, talking about mooching off us here forever, you sure have no shame. Elizabeth asks, if you are saying she is mooching off you, does that mean she is not a member of the Primordial Core yet? One of her bat turns into a butler to pour her some drink, and she asks, then, where is Pedrick and that dull guy? Renee tells her, they stepped out for a moment. With a serious look Elizabeth says, why they had to be absent at a time like this. When asked about if something happened, she says, the villages near my castle have all been destroyed. All of the humans must have died, since the village was sprayed with blood, but there were no corpses found. I don't think it was something done by humans. The blood on the floor was all flowing in one direction, as if a path had been made. And at the end of that path was Haston. What could that mean? Lymph thinks about it and says, it could be an undead. Elizabeth replies, yes, but there are not many who could do something like this. Most undead do not have intelligence. The ones that do have a special title of Elder and are of a higher tier. The army of the dead moving together means that someone must be controlling them. The Lord of the Undead, Immortal King, Irivos. I do not have any concrete evidence, but I need to notify that dull guy. Do you have any monsters that can send messages? With an embarrassed look, Renee tells her that the dungeon is currently empty. Renee tells her that she believes in Mr. Devourer's decision. Elizabeth is sympathizing with how this poor thing believes in such a person. It is a good thing Pedrick is resourceful. Lymph stands up and starts boasting again saying, it is time for this great one to step up. I guess it cannot be helped anymore. Back into the village. We see Toph telling Boss that the Black Disaster was the start of it all. Not long after that happened, someone set fire to the fields. Due to that, the crops that were ready for harvest all went up in flames, turning into ashes. Around that time, a bad rumor also started to spread. The crops in the area where the Black Disaster passed were all contaminated. As soon as you put it in your mouth, you would be plagued with something painful. That's how Haston became a cursed land. When the word of even the Emperor giving up on Haston spread, the people here fell into despair. But even within despair, there was hope. A rich commoner couple stepped up. Luckily, they had many crops not affected by the fire. They opened their storehouses and gave them out to the residents. There were even people who put the couple forward saying that they should all put their hands together with the couple as the center. Just when everyone was starting to be hopeful and started to believe, the couple was found bloodied in their home. Someone greedy for more food must have killed them. After that, nobody trusted anyone around them. Since nobody trusts each other, there is no cooperation. Everyone is just fighting to not get their food stolen, starving to death in the end. We of the back alleys were able to survive, thanks to the rumors of the crops being contaminated. Hearing that Boss thinks, there is no way the crops that have not even touched my body would be contaminated. Someone must have spread those lies with bad intentions. Then, they go outside the gates, they see a pile of corpses. Toph says, since bugs would gather if the corpses were left on the streets, we dug holes and started piling them up like this. We cannot burn them. Most of the people who lost their families, some are still unable to let go. Boss says, you guys can also do it. Toph says, I did not tell you earlier, but the couple that was killed had a daughter. Rosalina's parents are also somewhere in that pile of corpses. Boss asks if those soldiers always stand guard there. Toph says, yes, they guard in 2 shifts, they are not really protecting but controlling it. Boss thinks that soldiers controlling the gates in a situation like this, they must be following the Lord's orders. The Lord of this place is suspicious. After that, we see Pedrick thinking, there is no better way than to directly meet them in such a situation. We won't be able to see through their plans with normal means. And he pulls out an egg saying, for that reason, I stole a harpy egg. The harpy should come after this egg. That is when I will appear to get rid of them, allowing us to meet the Lord. He starts complimenting himself saying, it is a brilliant plan, I really must be a genius. That was his plan, but he realizes he messed something up when he sees a big horde of harpies flying towards the location of the egg. We see a man who has committed suicide and a girl witnessing it in despair. It starts telling her, you have to survive, Lala, never forget, you have to survive. Girl wakes up, it was a dream that has been haunting her for a while. This is Lala Itark, new Lord of Haston. She walks towards the balcony and thinks, it has been a couple of weeks since I obtained this position. I can still recall the day my brother died. My family members ran away with all the money. In such a situation there is only one way for me to survive. That is, to restore Haston. After that, we see her sitting on the throne. In front of her is a man wearing a cape. She says, you promised salvation. You said that you would protect me, as well as my territory. With anger, she shouts, take a look outside. Is this the salvation you spoke of? The man replies, I do not break my promises. Soon, I will put to sleep all the problems that this village is facing. Hearing that, she thinks, this person never speaks in detail about his plans, but right now, I have no choice but to believe him. Then he says, everything is going according to plan, so my lady, just keep living your comfortable life like you have been. With an ominous smile, he says, soon, all the problems will disappear. She has her doubts, but she has to believe him for now. One of the butlers comes in with a report about the security of Haston. According to the guards, there was an assault by a group of harpies, but a knight appeared out of nowhere and took care of it in one hit. Lala asks about which knight order does he belongs to, but they have no information about him yet. She asks the butler, where is that knight right now? She tells her that he is in the reception room in the castle. Mystery Man speaks, my lady, please reconsider your choices. You can't rule out the possibility that he could be an assassin disguised as a knight. Lala tells him that the knight being a suspicious person does not negate the achievement of saving Haston. To reward that effort is what the Lord of Haston should do, and asks to bring the knight for a meeting. We see Pedrick saying, the wandering knight greets the Lord of Haston. I was worn out from the rough travels to get to Haston, but seeing the noble lady alone seemed rewarding enough for the hard times. Lala says, I was told that it was due to your bravery and honor that Haston was protected. I thank you on behalf of all of Haston. Pedrick thinks, you can tell she is not fit to be a lord just by looking. Based on her age, she seems to be the younger sister of the previous lord. Lala asks him, which family's knight are you? But he keeps silent and does not respond. When asked about his name, he says, I regret to inform you, but I am unable to state my name either. I request that you be understanding. Lala says, you sure are keeping many things hidden. Will you deny my request for you to remove your helmet as well? Pedrick replies, this face of mine is riddled with battle scars. Half of the skin on my face was sliced off, making it unpleasant to look at. But if it is okay with you, I will take it off, my lady. Lala replies, do not bother, I will let it go. I may not be able to offer you much, but I would still like to reward you with something. Is there something you want? Pedrick requests some food and thinks, the most important thing right now in Haston is food. I will be able to find out the current status of the castle through her answers. Lala says, that will not be a problem and asks them to go prepare it. Hearing that, Pedrick thinks, wow, she replies without a second thought. Meaning food in the castle is not lacking. Then why would the lady leave the people of Haston in such bad conditions? Also, this energy that I can feel since I am an undead. That man gives off a sense of familiarity. After that, Pedrick says, may I ask you a question? There is something that has been bothering me for a while. What is your identity? Pointing at the caped man. We see Pedrick and Boss talking. Boss asks, if you felt a sense of familiarity, that must mean he was an undead, but you just left him there. Pedrick replies, do you expect me to get into a brawl there? Also, just because I felt something, does not mean that he is an undead. I can feel such things from necromancers. Depending on the amount they have accrued in their body, can also release the energy of undead. Boss says, how can you take time to check every individual like that? I would have just taken care of him on the spot. Pedrick gets angry and says, we came here to clean up the mess you created, not to cause more problems. Do you really want me to resign? When asked if Boss found anything, he says, the people here seem to believe that the crops here are tainted with the plague. So the villagers refused to eat the crops and died of starvation. And that thief girl, Rosalina, it was hard to get close to her since she kept running away. Pedrick says, it would have been nice to have mind control magic, maybe I should have brought Lymph along. Boss gets annoyed saying, you are saying that after dragging a person who did not want to come in the first place. After that, Pedrick pulls out a bag and says, this is the food I received from the Lord. Let's try to win Rosalina over with this. We see Rosalina, scared of something. Our boss corners her. But he just wants to share some food with her. She gives in, realizing this is the communal wafer given by the priest. Boss asks her, who is this priest she is talking about? After that, we see them walking in the woods. As she says, I did not expect to meet a fellow believer of the priest. Everybody seems stupid. All you have to do is give your unconditional faith, and you will be saved. They reach their destination as they stand outside a creepy-looking cave. They start walking down the stairs filled with lit-up torches. Inside we hear someone saying, the disaster of Haston is a trial given to the humans for their evil deeds. That person is an omnipotent being who can overcome this situation. And as believers who gained his trust, we should be praised as the chosen ones. Boss and Rosalina enter and sit with the crowd. Man continues, to never forget the divine message that has been given to us. Today as well, we will eat the blessings provided by that person. Boss thinks, it does not seem special at all, is it just brainwashing? Suddenly, everyone around him stands up. Rosalina says, looks like we just came on time, it's time for the liturgy of Eucharist. It's when the priest hands out the wafer. Looking at it, Boss thinks, it's the same thing that Pedrick received from Haston's Lord. Why was something like that in the Lord's castle? Rosalina whispers to him, this is a secret that I am only telling you. When that person comes to save Haston, it is said that whoever truly believes in him will have eternal happiness. It is said that you will receive an even bigger blessing if you do. When asked about that, she was not sure what it is, but it must be something better than a wafer, like meat or something. The priest approaches Rosalina and gives her a wafer. As he gives the boss a wafer, he says, I have not seen you around before. I hope you will come around more often. Boss notices a strange mana surrounding it. He gets annoyed and whispers to him, I don't really care what you do to the humans. You should not overstep your boundaries by trying to investigate me. The priest realizes that Boss is not human, and says, I will make sure to remember you. Rosalina is surprised and asks if something is wrong. He says, it's nothing, I was just thanking him for giving us something to eat. Let's go. As they reach Haston, they both bid farewell to each other. Boss says, there are so many suspicious things that I might not even need the actual evidence. This cult led the isolated Haston, using unknown mana, brainwashing and watching over them. As well as the guy with the undead aura who was by Lord's side. With how well everything fits in place, it will be hard for even me to miss. There is definitely someone behind them. We see Lymph, who is charmed by hearing that Boss has already figured things out. After that we see Lymph saying, Lady Bottori stopped by the Primordial Core. She said that Haston would face the undead soon. She had found traces of abnormal phenomena around Chite Castle moving in the direction of Haston. She also said, the person most likely to be responsible for this is Irivos. Boss replies, he is most likely the culprit, but even that is just a guess. She says, I have thought about it a lot. Isn't it normal for a place taken over by the undead to be overwhelmed by their numbers? Are you not curious why he did not choose that method instead? If my guess is right, he should have used the flow of mana, and she used a magic called mana detection to confirm that, and says, I knew it, it was as I guessed. As we see mana pointing in a single direction,